Mother's Day is around the corner, and for some women, this is not a holiday that you look forward to due to the unhealthy relationship that you have with your mother. Trust me, I get it. I suffered silently for years because as a child growing up, my mother was emotionally unavailable, and that pain followed me all the way to my adulthood. And this is one of the very reasons that I had to create the Motherless Child Guidebook, a sacred space for healing your mother wounds to really support myself and my healing journey and be a resource for women all over the world so that they too could start to heal. Inside of the digital guidebook, you're going to find topics that's going to cover how to identify the toxic patterns in the relationship that you have with your mother, how to identify your mother wounds and heal from your past, what does it look like to reparent your inner child, and then lastly, how do you create a new narrative, a new story for yourself that feels good when you share it with others. Now, also within the guidebook, you're going to have soul writing prompts. So that way you can get your feelings out of your heart and out of your mind and down on paper. You're also going to have 5 videos that are going to complement each section. And it's going to be like I'm holding your hand and giving you a warm hug after you complete each section. I mean, what's better than having a friend go along with you, right? And then you're also going to get additional resources such as a playlist of music to help you and encourage you, healing, affirmations, a book list, and so much more. Go to themotherlesschild.com and invest in your healing today. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Girl Be Free podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan, where I'm going to inspire and motivate you to show up for yourself. For the remainder of the month, we're going to be doing a 3-part series around the Motherless Child Guidebook, a sacred space for healing your mother wounds. And today's topic is titled, I Am Not My Mother. This is a topic that I personally had to battle with. I remember when I was in therapy several years ago, and it was a group therapy session around healing your mother wounds. And one of the sessions was really, really difficult for me. And I remember at the end of the session, I was in the parking lot, and a young lady from the group came up to me and she said, "You are not your mother." And I never forgot that. And it really resonated with me because all of my life, I had been competing with my mother internally. I'll give you an example. I had to make sure that I graduated high school. And then after I graduated high school, I had to make sure I got my bachelor's degree. And because I was trying to prove how smart I was, I went on to get a master's degree just for that very reason. Then I had to make sure that before I had children, I was going to be married. And I wasn't going to have a lot of kids. I felt like 2 was definitely enough. Then I had to make sure that I had a job and I kept a job and that I had stability for my family. So we, found a house, had a car. So everything that I didn't see when I was growing up, I was trying to become a better version of my mother. Now, the crazy thing about that is nothing was ever good enough. Not one thing. It's like as soon as I crossed one thing off my list, I moved to the next thing. And it was just this internal battle of trying to prove to myself that I was better than when I never had to do that from the very beginning. And I needed that young lady to say that after that therapy session because I'm not my mother. And I feel like a lot of women who have mother wounds, that is an internal battle that you're dealing with and you're trying to be better than. And if you don't take a moment to acknowledge that and then do the inner work, you will end up repeating behaviors even though you don't want to. So I remember not too long ago, there was a lady who I met at an event. And she said, I follow you on Facebook and I've been reading a lot of the things that you've been sharing around the mother wounds. And she said, I have my own difficult relationship with my mother. And everything that I didn't want to repeat that I saw growing up, I repeated it and I'm passing it over to my daughter. And she was like, and that part really hurts. And I understood exactly what she was saying because if you don't do the inner work to heal and to grow, subconsciously you will repeat these patterns and you would look up and you'll say to yourself, this is exactly what I didn't want to do. I remember when my daughter was young and this is what triggered me to go to therapy. is because some of the things that I saw growing up, or the way that I was communicating and things like that, I started repeating that. And I knew in that very moment that if I didn't do something to change my life, that I would become just like my mother, even though I didn't want to be like her. I didn't like the competition that I had going on internally. So that is what therapy and, growing and being self-aware and self-checking myself, that has helped so much. So now I let all of that go because it's not worth it. I am living my own life. There's been so many things that have happened in my life that I already know that I'm nothing like her. And I don't have to prove that to anyone, not even myself, because the makeup of my life is completely different. So the same for you. Your life is different than your mother's, okay? And you are living your own life. And I want to encourage you to set yourself free so that way you don't have to keep struggling with trying not to be her. Now, of course, there's work that you have to do. The Motherless Child Guidebook, A Sacred Space for Healing Your Mother Wounds, is perfect for that, okay? And what it's going to help you do, and this is what I had to learn, is to mother the inner child and mother that part of you where you realize that the relationship with your mother was beginning to be unhealthy, because that little person inside is yearning for that. She's yearning to be mothered. She's yearning to feel like she's safe and that she can be protected. And that is something that I'm working on in this very moment, and I've done a lot of self-work for that. And when I say the self-work, that means when I'm triggered by certain things, I take time and I speak to the little girl inside. And I shared this on the Motherless Child episode, where when I was younger, I used to love coloring. So I make sure that I incorporate that in my life. Getting snacks that I remember as a child that, made me feel good inside. So little things like that makes me feel better. And that is how, or that's one example of how I'm mothering my inner child. So with the Motherless Child Guidebook, A Sacred Space for Healing Your Mother Wounds, is for people who mother may have passed away and you have some unresolved issues that you need to heal from. Or maybe you are someone where you have an unhealthy, toxic relationship with your mother and you're ready to heal. Or maybe you're like the young lady that I met at an event where you realize that there's some negative patterns that have been passed down and you are repeating those same behaviors, but you are ready for change. And those are just a few instances who the Motherless Child Guidebook is for. And I want to just kind of point out that it's not only a guidebook. It is 40 pages of topics that cover the following: the 8 toxic mother patterns that can cause a strain in mother-daughter relationships, how to identify your mother wounds and start to heal from your past, how to mother your inner child and steps you can take to reparent the little girl inside of you, how to take back your power and create a new narrative for yourself. And I know for me, this is exactly what I wish I had when I was starting my healing journey, and even while I was in therapy and after therapy, a resource that could kind of help me dig a little bit deeper. And I didn't just want it to be a guidebook, but I just poured my heart into this project. And so I created bonus material that complements the guidebook. So there are 5 videos with over 90 minutes of content that complements each section that I just mentioned. There are 25 soul writing prompts to help you dig deep and write from your heart. Over 30 healing affirmations that you're going to find inside of the guidebook, as well as I created an MP3 audio version so that way you can download the affirmations and listen to them on the go. A curated book list that will further support you on your journey. And because I love music, I created a music playlist on Spotify where you can listen to songs that are going to encourage you and inspire you as you do this work. There's also going to be podcast episode for the Motherless Child Guidebook that will be additional support. And anyone that pre-orders by August 23rd by going to themotherlesschild.co, you're going to get a complimentary live group intimate conversation with me. And so I highly, highly, highly encourage that you pre-order your copy of the Motherless Child Guidebook, A Sacred Space for Healing Your Mother Wounds today at themotherlesschild.co. And I do understand that everybody don't have mother wounds. There are people that have beautiful relationships with their mother, and I honor you. I am grateful. I celebrate you, right? However, I'm sure you know someone in your life that can benefit from this resource and this podcast. And sometimes, and what I'm learning is that because this is not a trendy conversation, there are many people may even be your friends or family members or siblings, right, that are hurting, but you don't even know that they're hurting because they don't even know how to have the conversation. So really, you can share this link, this podcast with anyone to help me get the word out, because the goal is to help people start to do the inner work so that they can heal. I am making space for you. I am acknowledging you, and I'm letting you know that you are not alone on this journey. And that is exactly why I created the Motherless Child Guidebook, A Sacred Space for Healing Your Mother Wounds. So again, you can pre-order your copy now at themotherlesschild.co, and I will put a link to it in the show notes. Please, please, please make sure you share your feedback from this episode on my Instagram page at Be Free Project. You can always shoot me an email, and you'll find access to do that in the show notes. And then you can follow me on Facebook as well. So please continue to support my work. I deeply appreciate it. And until next time, girl, be free.